You are watching Quantum Alignment Show, and I am your host today. My name is Beatrice, and I'm Beatrice from Mind, Body, and Soul Align. I'm an energy mentor, a transformational coach, and a human design specialist. And I'm here presenting again. And if you want to know more about me, my journey of transformation, what inspired me, please watch the episode from last year in December the 18th. That was the first one when I presented on Quantum Alignment Show. I feel very, very grateful for this opportunity. And thank you, Karen, and your entire team for the amazing work you do in the world. And you, my friends, my dear friends who are watching us today, I want, live or on replay, I want you to know that I am very thankful for you being here. And know that today is about you and your uniqueness. Now, tell me a little bit about your journey with human design, and feel free to post in the comments. Where are you in your transformational journey? Are you dabbling with it, tipping your toes gently in, or are you thinking to embark in? Are you already there, enjoying the journey and experimenting with your type, strategy, and authority? Or perhaps you already are playing with this fascinating information of human design for years, or maybe you even build a business that includes this vast knowledge. So what is happening with you? How does the world affect you? How did or still does human design helping you moving throughout these weird and uncertain times? So please feel free to drop your questions in the comments, in the chat, and I'll pick them up and answer either during the call, the webinar, the presentation, whatever you want to call it, or at the end of the presentation, or even after that. Feel free to message me if you watch it on replay, and please write your insights, your commentary, or your queries to me. So I would really love to hear what's happening with you. So please let me know, because this is the topic of this presentation today. Looking honestly of what is happening with you, with us, we open up and get to be aware of what that means. And we start to understand why it's happening. And then further start to open even more to the how can we improve or can we change what's happening with us. So this is what we are going to talk about today, looking through the lenses of human design. What is happening? Why is happening? And how can you transform? How can you shift the energy state in your body, in your aura, all around you, or improve it? Towards the end of the presentation, I will share about my approach on how I can guide and support you. So how to connect with your uniqueness and live it. I will be here with you for an hour of exploration, and this little journey to unveil your uniqueness. And I will be playing with what, why, and how questions. I'm bringing in observation and curiosity to open up this conversation about how we can move deeper in the process of understanding our uniqueness. From the mind level, thoughts and beliefs, to the body level, feelings and emotions, noticing and following the energy flows in our awareness centers. From the theoretical knowledge that can be easily regurgitated by everyone, to the practical application of the knowledge that can really help, and to the personal experimentation that takes time and patience, but really brings results. From the point when we say or declare that we are unique, to the point when we feel and act and get connected with our uniqueness. And then even further, to the point where we start living our uniqueness each and every day. So I'm inviting you to stay with the questions and allow to be moved by them or not. Maybe to join me in playing with them, noticing them and watching them transform. Just let them help you unveil maybe some little gems in the hidden corners of your being. So let's start with the question 1. The what. What is happening? What is happening? You are unique. We all are unique. This is it. Are you unique? Answer in the comments. Let me know what you feel. Do you feel you are unique? Do you believe you are unique? Type in the comments. Let me know. Do you understand how come are you unique? We are all unique. We are as unique as our fingerprints. All of us here know more or less about the energetic structure that human design teaches. It's shown in the body graph, so let me quickly remind you of that. This is me, this is my chart. I'm a 1-3 emotional generator. So we know about the configuration about this chart. We know about the auras generated by the definition of the defined centers in our body. We know about the types. In the body graph, we have circuits, channels, and gates. 5 types, 7 authorities, 9 centers, 36 channels, 64 gates. And beyond the gate, if we zoom in, there are a few more levels that bring more variables. Lines, colors, bases, tones and bases. Yeah. Just imagine the multitude of combinations all these 69,120 variables can bring to you. Now, look at your body graph and recap how much you know about it, about yourself, how much you realize how much more there is there unknown yet. Let that sink in for a minute. Let yourself ponder on how vast and complex and rich we are as human beings, and how different each and every one is. Because if we zoom out of the chart, on top of all those details, human design structures, lays the programming we downloaded from the moment we came in the world. Family, kindergarten, all that social programming, school, places of work, social life. And I want to highlight an aspect here. The programming isn't bad. We are meant to evolve, and that's happening through learning and programming and using that programming. It's our mind and our body learning and experiencing this world. But there are old, redundant programs that make us feel not happy or feel stuck. Yeah. Now, that's not all. Better zoom in again, because beyond of what you came with, as shown in the body graph, and all the programming, as I said, beyond that is the genetic inheritance. All those traits you have in your body from before you were born, from ancestral lineage, mother branch of the family, father branch of the family, your DNA. Hey, but that's not all. Better zoom in again, because beyond the... Let's zoom out again, once again, because on top of everything that I listed, it's the everyday impact of the neutrino stream. A fundamental aspect of human design is based on what is scientifically known as neutrino. And Ra called it the breath of the stars. So neutrinos, it's the science behind human design, one of them. And just know that approximately 100 trillion neutrinos pass through your body every second. Neutrinos are unusual particles that carry an infinitesimal amount of mass. About 3 trillion neutrinos and the material information they carry pass through every square inch of the planet per second. Our sun produces about 70% of all neutrinos that travel through our solar system, with the remaining 30% emitted by other stars in our galaxy and a small amount from the planet Jupiter. In 2015, the scientists Takaaki Kajita and Arthur B. MacDonald were awarded a Nobel Prize for the discovery of neutrino oscillations, which show that neutrinos have mass. Ra Uru Hu published this as the science behind the human design system as early as 1991. Since neutrinos have an infinitesimally small amount of mass, as the stream passes through us, it leaves information. It is a stream of information. And within each of us exist particles that connect us to the stream. At the moment of birth, we are imprinted by the information carried by the neutrino stream via the planets. This imprint is reflected within the human design chart and determines your particular design. This information provides us with a knowledge to understand our nature, potential, and forms of interaction. Neutrinos could be regarded as the modern equivalent of what the ancients called chi or prana. These extraordinary particles are penetrating us with bits of information all the time, which means we live and move through a vast, continuous, and inescapable information field. And how that impacts us. We are unique, aren't we? Do you see why human design is called the science of individuation? Let me know in your comments, please. How do you feel about your uniqueness? Because we all are unique, aren't we? We are one in a lifetime cosmic event, as my teacher Karen Curry Parker would say. We definitely are unique. And my definition of uniqueness is it's the innate intelligence of every human being. It is the spontaneous creativity rooted in love. And have you noticed that I didn't say unconditional love? Because there is no such a unconditional or conditional love. Once the condition is there, that's not love anymore. So, yeah, just the point I wanted to make. So let's continue. The uniqueness. We unveil this uniqueness. We unveil it naturally when we allow expanding our life without forcing or creating more resistance. When we flow in alignment with our DNA. When our heart and mind are in coherence, when we act in flow with who we truly are, and we use our unique gifts for the highest good. And if you don't have questions, I have some questions for you. Because this is what we are doing today. We are just asking some questions and sit with these questions. So let me know, are you accepting you are unique? And if you are accepting that you are unique, if you accept and understand and happy to be unique, why then we are tempted to copy others in the way they think or the way they speak or the way they live? Why do we want the same outfit or the same hairstyle or the same look like others? Why do we need sometimes to do what others do? What about the FOMO? Why are we going there with our minds instead to allow our minds to get inspired and support us to find our unique look and outfit and hairstyle? We still are upset and we suffer when compare ourselves with others, with colleagues, with their lives, with their houses, with their cars, with friends, with their jobs and their holidays. Comparison, competition, we let ourselves to be motivated by outer reality. We react to that. Even more, we are making our lives miserable, judging ourselves all the time for whatever matter. I should have known better. I should have done it sooner. I'm not enough. What's wrong with me? I'm broken. Why are we still saying these slogans? Why are we keep believing these jingles like, if I can do it, you can do it, go get it? That makes us react to others, jumping into situations that we will regret later. And it did happen to me, to you. And it's still happening, isn't it? Because we don't act following our human design type, strategy, authority. So why we are still tempted to copy, to imitate, rather than to use our uniqueness? Because we know we are unique. What makes us different? What differentiates us and give us an advantage is not used. This is the impact our relationships have on us, our loved ones, families, friends, colleagues, the news, society overall. And human design teaches about the relations in couples and further more complex and more rigid transauric forms. It's a lot. It's overwhelming sometimes and hard on us, all that outer reality impact. Where are we hidden under all this conditioning? Where is our uniqueness? Where is it? Buried under a pile of rubbish, old patterns and beliefs and emotional backlog. So, what is really happening? We are still at that number one question, with what? We are meant to connect, to exchange energy with others, and we understand the concept by which human design is teaching us that we are unique still. The truth is, we still follow and act on old patterns, habits, deep hidden in our energy. Well, most of us are awakening, and they search and they do as much as they can and try to help themselves and to start clearing and cleaning that pile of trash. So we achieve, we buy, we get courses, we start shoveling and we shovel and we shovel, and I got the map of human design after a while of shoveling. That's my story. the human design chart, it was like the second, the third, whatever, shovel. Well, it's good because not all of us, many of us are starting to take this path of discovering of our unique gifts and start to trust them and to use them. And I want to congratulate you all for walking this path, because you are indeed amazing, and I'm so grateful and inspired by you being here, getting knowledge and doing something to improve the state of your life, the way you feel, the way you think about yourself. I would like to congratulate you all on your work and every step forward, every win, no matter how little. I'm sure that every one of you has at least one little win that can acknowledge every day. And if you don't yet, make a habit of that, because that force, that energy, that little win brings you every day, and you acknowledge it, that's the one that will keep you when things are not going so well, you know. That's the one that will make you go further, make you reach whatever your intentions and the goals are. So raise this awareness, because this is our mission. This is what actually happens, you know, talking about that question, what else is happening? Well, is happening, question number one, what is there? There is an awareness there, yeah. We still have, we already have that awareness, and the awareness is raising. And human design is talking about awareness in 3 points in our chart. It's a mental awareness in the Ajna center, yeah. It is the physical awareness in the spleen center, and the emotional awareness in solar plexus. But let's look a little bit in depth at that awareness and what does it mean. And I picked up the definition given by Richard Rudd. Awareness is an aspect of consciousness unique to all life forms. In a human being, awareness can be divided into 3 main layers, although in reality they are all a single awareness: physical awareness, emotional awareness, and mental awareness. At low level of frequency, human awareness is confined to the human body. Physical awareness remains rooted in survival and fear. Emotional awareness remains rooted in desire and drama, and mental awareness remains rooted in comparison and judgment. As you raise your frequency throughout your being, your awareness becomes more refined and shifts from the local environment to the cosmic. Physical awareness becomes divine presence, emotional awareness becomes universal love, and mental awareness becomes silence and wisdom. Beautiful words, isn't it? So what he brings in this, the lowest level of frequency, where we feel that we are not happy, where we feel that we are in pain, where we feel that we are in fear and stress, and the opposite, the dual aspect of yin and yang, or of good and bad. The highest frequency will bring you a divine presence in your physical body, an emotional awareness and clarity of universal love, and a mental awareness that's wisdom. And what's in between them? What's in between? It's our path in between them. This is where we are in between them. Sometimes we feel the lowest, sometimes we are much closer to the highest. So I think we are moving towards the question number 2, which is the why. Why is this happening? Yeah, why some of us, we are still not feeling connected with our uniqueness. Yeah. The knowledge fascinates, but only with mental awareness we won't be able to change what's happening. The knowledge, it won't be enough to make a long-term shift in our mental, emotional, and physical and spiritual plane. So what is happening? We still don't apply what we understand with our mind. We look for quick fixes, instant gratification, fast forwarding, finding shortcuts, skipping steps, and wanting all at once. Well, even if all it would be given to us at once, we wouldn't know what to do with it. So the type, the strategy, and the authority are the basic concepts in human design. And even though they are understood, our heavy conditioning twists the thoughts in our mind. And 70% of the population have an open head. They pretend to be certain. I have an open head. So this is another question for you. Are we really applying this human design knowledge for ourselves? For ourselves. Because remember, we are different. We are so different that we are unique. I think I moved the slides too fast, but no problem. I will continue what I wanted to share before talking about the defined solar plexus and non-defined solar plexus. Because recently I read the book Electric Body, Electric Health by Eileen Day McCusick, and I became fascinated by her work. She does work in sound healing field. In the book, she beautifully describes the magnetic and the electric elements of the human aura. She works with tuning forks. I'm using other modalities, human design, energy alignment method, tapping, different other modalities, but the fundamental concepts are the same. So for this next part, when we are pondering on the why question, the question number 2, I let myself inspired by her. And I also bring in discussion the molecules of emotions concepts of Candace Perth. So our emotions are not just chemical and mechanical, and an emotion is a wave form and is a fundamentally electromagnetic phenomenon that gives rise to chemical and psychological changes like heart rate, increase or decrease muscle tension, breathing, but the vibrational aspect is primarily. So we are familiar with how human design describes the various types of waves of emotions flowing through our emotional solar plexus. We know that a defined solar plexus means emotional authority, and people with emotional authority are guided to experiment with what they feel, to track their waves, and most importantly, to know that they are not to enter in situations on the spot suddenly, but to enter correctly, and if they make decision on the spot, that's not correct for them. They should wait a little bit until that wave of emotion give them clarity. So over time, that's the strategy, that's the authority for the emotional solar plexus, and I have an emotional solar plexus. Over time, to gain that clarity, we make decisions over time. This is the theory. And it's not always easy, because when you are in the middle of an emotional wave, hello, we all have been there. Those like me who have emotional authority know how difficult it is, how hard it is. But I'm sure it's not easier for those who have a solar plexus that's not defined or open and absorb emotions from others and amplify them. Am I right? So now is the time to read what's on the slide. Defined solar plexus and non-defined solar plexus. An emotional defined person with a defined solar plexus needs to process their own emotions correctly by neither venting them too quickly or keeping them in too long. And a person with a non-defined solar plexus needs to be aware of the emotions around them so that they don't get trapped in an emotional process that is not theirs. As a wave, an emotion naturally rises up, crests in our awareness, and then falls away. This is both an electrical and a chemical phenomenon. As these waves rise up, the chemicals are generated. The work of Candace Perth, the neuroscientist and pharmacologist formerly with the National Institute of Health, who is credited with discovering the brain's opiate receptors, shows that there's actually a chemical molecular component to emotion. When we feel something, instead of electrical impulses, a molecule of emotion is generated. Different emotions, of course, have different chemical compositions. Fear creates adrenaline. For instance, love creates oxytocin, and excitement creates dopamine. The brain and gut generate molecules that carry the vibration of that particular wave, and the wave form carries them throughout the body. These molecules go into circulation, and we feel the vibration of that waveform. One way to think about this is that our emotions are magnetic and our thoughts are electric. Magnetic fields guide electric currents. Our feelings are primary and our thoughts follow. When we work with our emotions, we are shifting the magnetic field, which has been shifting the way the electric current is running through the body, and ultimately showing up in certain mental and physical patterns. Physical pain is often the final manifestation of an emotional pattern in the magnetic field. When I work with my clients on their emotions, we identify where there is resistance in the magnetic field and shift it, so the electric current will flow differently throughout the body. Wherever they are stuck, wherever the energy is stuck in their field, there is corresponding tension in the body. When they release the resistance in the magnetic field, the electric resistance and corresponding tension in the body also lets go. So let's dig a little bit deeper in here. Magnetism is traditionally associated with a feminine principle, and electricity with the masculine principle. An feminine element is emotion, music, sound, feeling. The masculine element is thought, electricity, and light. The magnetic fields are diffuse and all surrounding, while the electricity is more focused, charged. As the feminine has been oppressed by the masculine in modern patriarchal culture, intellect, reason, and logic have been favored over emotion and intuition, which also plays out in the way we've repressed our feelings and over-engaged our thinking apparatus. We even cut this awareness of the magnetic field out of our understanding of why. A collective consciousness is mirrored in nature. Scientists have found that the Earth's magnetic field is decreasing over the last 4,000 years. So according to geological history, magnetic field has been in decline, and infinite magnetic field is decreasing. The electric current, so the magnetic field has been in decline, and the electric current is increasing. This is what we've seen in our society. The patriarchy has risen. The development of thought, mind, intellect, science, and technology. The electric charge has increased. The elimination of the feminine element of nourishment, caring, motion, wholeness has occurred in so many different places in our culture as diminished. It's also happened to the earth as the magnetic field is declining because of the way human consciousness has been changing. And what's the cause? And what's the effect? It's impossible to say. Either way, we have seen the decline of the feminine principle along with the decline of our collective emotional health and our understanding of magnetism at the same time. The weakening of the magnetosphere offers an interesting perspective on the way we are seeing things falling apart in the world right now. What we are seeing today in the world is that we don't have this magnetic insulation. So nerves are frail, the electric current is ramping up, and everything is becoming very electric and intense. When we are not contained by the magnetosphere, we are not being held by the mother. So we are moving into the third question we want to play with today, the how. The how to start to change what we don't like, what we want to improve. We want to change our minds and our bodies. And if we want to do this, we need to start with our emotions. So much of the New Age thought, including works of brilliant minds, focus on the notions of change your thinking, change your life. This truth is, at the same time, changing your thinking doesn't work so well if we are not also addressing feelings that are guiding the thoughts. We really need to feel, we really need to change the way we feel. And the only way to change the way we feel is by getting in touch with our emotions. With whatever undigested emotions that are hanging out in our auras. And there are a lot of them in most of the people. If you've got all that guilt or shame or anger, and you are not owning it, or that you are suppressing them with food, wine, sugar, overworking, then those unexpressed emotions are going to undermine you. They are going to cause self-sabotage. They are going to get in the way of you changing your thinking and changing your life. You can think, I'm rich and abundant, all you want, but if you don't feel abundant because you have a bunch of stories of lack and not enough, you created a backlog of shame that you've never addressed, then you are not going to get very far. So as I'm very passionate about what I wrote, about what I want to share with you, my laptop is not having it. So let's resume. Yeah. So if you think I'm rich and abundant, but you don't feel abundant because you have a bunch of stories or lack and not enough created by backlog of shame that you've never addressed, then you're not going to get very far. You need to have all your vibrations in phase, in coherence, in alignment, call it whatever you want, but in align with each other in an inner alignment and inner unity. And then you become more powerful, you become more magnetic, and you start to attract whatever you want, because 100% of you gets on board. You are vibrating that feeling of abundance in your field, and what you vibrate is what you experience. Virtually, all that anticipating thinking and inability to control our minds and behaviors are caused by unresolved emotions. You can try to shift your electric thinking, but if your magnetic field is stuck in some emotion that never got expressed, you are going to sabotage yourself, because that emotion is going to keep seeking to find its expression, is going to keep trying to fulfill its destiny as a wave form, which is its expression. And it will keep undermining your thinking and your behavior until that emotion reaches its destiny or expression. To one degree or another, we all have a vibrational backlog of unprocessed emotion. These are all emotions become signal jammers that put us in a state of incoherence and create a feeling of stuckness. Most people feel that they are stuck in some kind of pattern that's creating unhealthy consequences in their bodies and their lives. When we learn to accept our emotions as a healthy, natural part of life, we enter into a fluid relationship with them, learning to dance with our emotions and simply allow whatever emotion is arising to arise and do its thing. We let it out in some way, and then we move on. Unexpressed emotions generate stress, and ultimately the state of our health comes down to how we manage stress. Stress is an emotion, plain and simple, our emotional reaction to a situation rather than the situation itself is what causes most of stress. The solution in our current healthcare model is to give people drugs, but what we really need is to identify what's going on below the level of our symptoms, what's going on with with almost every single person. I've worked with so many, and there were so many unexpressed and undigested emotions in their body that they don't know what to do with. As a waveform, an emotion rises up into our awareness so that we can recognize and express it. We can acknowledge the message that carries and use that information to guide our decisions about how we will respond to a particular situation. Emotions naturally ebb and flow like the tide, and if we allow them to, that would be the most natural way to manage them. More often, we do whatever we can to stop an oncoming wave in its tracks. There are countless ways to arrest the movement of a waveform. Taking a pill, eating a chocolate bar, pouring a glass of wine, going shopping, sitting in front of a screen, or just overwriting it with a noisy monologue. And unfortunately, our society provides us with limitless opportunities to avoid our emotions. If an emotion is generated and then it is suppressed with alcohol or sugar or anything else, emotion does not go away. When a wave in motion is stopped, the molecules that were generated don't get digested or recycled. They stay in our system and they have to find a home. And guilt might settle on our hips and thighs. Anger is more likely to hang out in our liver. Sadness may find some corner of our heart or lungs to claim for itself. Our systems became full of these molecules of waves, forms that are just waiting to break. There is a saying in the therapy world, and this is a quote from Eileen McCusick: emotions buried alive never die. Emotions buried alive never die. And there is anger, sadness, guilt, regret, fear, or some complex combination of many emotions melted together. Huge burdens. If do not express and release these emotions as they are arising, then we will carry them around with us for years, for decades, and maybe even a lifetime, and our physical bodies became ill. Disease is often the body's last resort to making the emotion heard. Even the medical establishment is beginning to acknowledge the link between the emotional suppression and disease, particularly in the case of autoimmune diseases, there is mounting evidence that shows unprocessed emotions, often stemming from childhood trauma, and they play a significant role in autoimmunity. On the chemical level, when you suppress the emotion before it peaks, it has to find a little hole in the body to hang out. It's not going to knock on the door and say, can I come in here and hide because nobody wants to deal with me right now? When we experience chronic low-level sadness or anger or anxiety, it's because we have all these hidden molecules getting heavier, hiding in whatever corner of our being. Over time, these chemicals hiding out in a sort of an organ part of the body disrupt the blueprint, and disease or disorder is the result. When we are in emotion, all of a sudden the cells are going back into their blueprint and say, this little molecule of sadness, you are not in the blueprint anymore. You are getting kicked to the curb. You take it out into the body, and it goes into circulation to fulfill its destiny. Emotions are physical detox reactions. Emotions and the physical detox reactions can arise as these chemicals are released from the system, which can be uncomfortable, but generally we've done a lot of suppressing frustration and anger in our lifetime. For example, I had years, decades of suppressing emotions. So it was difficult to deal with emotions when my father was drunk. It was difficult to deal with emotions after he was, trying to come back to the normal days. He never accepted that, but the frustration and the suppressing the emotions, really, I felt them like in a under pressure pot for so many years. So there could be an emotional process that works through for entire backlog, for entire life. But once I started to work with it, to release them, once I started to unpeel them, once I started to acknowledge them, and then with the modalities that I used to let them go, it felt lighter and brighter, and it changed. All this background feeling just fade away. It took some time, of course, to keep this work systematically, but those old emotions are gone. They're out of my field. And I even allow myself to forgive my father. And I remember that I had a discussion with one of my coaches before I get to that stage to forgive him. She, in her journey, was able to do that with her father. And I was I'm not going to be able to do that ever. Well, things changed because I was able to release that huge amount of unprocessed emotions, and I let them go. And it took me a few months after we had that discussion, and I kept doing energy work, of course, and it was all of a sudden I was listening a meditation of Deepak Chopra, and it just came, that wave over me, and I realized that without any logical connection, I realized that there was a moment when I kind of like released all the last debris in relation to the blame that I had towards my father. And it wasn't easy, and it took time, but I feel so different, and I feel so revived, and I feel so as I should have been for such a long time. So it's so important to allow this into our life, to understand our emotions. I'm gonna rush a little bit because I think we are.
We have about 8 minutes, and
Yeah.
Are you going to be sharing? Even there was a question that said, "What technique modalities did you use to let go of these emotions?" Are we segueing into the next part of your talk?
We are. I'm not going to explain the modalities, but I'm going to share about how I can support with this. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so I'm going to go a little bit faster through. Like human design, as we know, it's a map. It's a synthesis of ancient wisdom and modern science, and it is a collection of all potential archetypes located in a single map. So this map, the chart, not only tells you where you would feel good and helps you navigate a path to get there, but also gives you a new way of thinking about who you really are. And human design chart shows the potential of each individual that we can have to live our lives purposefully, and highlights the areas where we are more likely to be conditioned and store emotional baggage. And all this knowledge is a fantastic benefit for humans. Still, only the knowledge won't be enough to get rid of the all redundant emotions. We must be practical. We have to apply the theory to allow the process of helping those emotions to fulfill their destiny. And nobody can do that for ourselves. And it's a sacred work. This is how we connect with our uniqueness. I had connection session I gave recently, and it became really, really obvious that during the session people had loads of insights and aha moments, and we had time at the end to reflect on a few, and it became really obvious that we individuals, in order to be able to create the harmonious relationships we dream of, we have to be aligned with our uniqueness, operating correct, following the strategy and the authority that are actually supporting and protecting us and make things easier for ourselves. But it's so irritating and annoying to just follow instructions. We all are rebels sometimes, isn't it? Ra was saying how you are going to function in the partnership goes back to how you are going to operate yourself. Okay, so everything about the quality of a relationship, it's simply just the mechanical consideration. The individual human being has to operate correctly as themselves, and only in operating correctly as themselves can they begin to communicate as themselves. So if we are not honest with ourselves first and accept who we really are, then sometimes it's hard to accept ourselves, because we might not like what we found, and we are ashamed and we blame ourselves or others. We are still caught in the hidden patterns of expectation that we don't realize. So from my experience working with groups and one-on-one with people that get more difficult to identify and process in the group, because comparison and competition are insidious. So when I work with people alone, these disappears, and that's no distraction. It's much easier for the clients to find what holds them back and to recognize it and accept it. It is this sacred space they can really understand their uniqueness, reattune, clear what's redundant, and work their strength from inside out. So afterwards, they are better equipped for their relationship while living true to who they are. So my intention for you is to help you to connect with your uniqueness, and in such a way that empowers you and helps you to stay adaptable during challenging times. I have this unique me living my uniqueness. So if any of you feel this frustration and you're lost or feeling overwhelmed because you cannot make up your mind, you're exhausted and getting no break from your mental chatter, pressure that you have to sort out everyone else's problems and answer to all their questions, disappointment and feeling you live an unfulfilled life, thinking that you're not good enough, worried that you cannot control your emotions, then please know that I can help you, and I have a 20% discount to an intense session of energy work. It's called Shine Your Light in the right direction at the right vibration, and it's available for you for this month only. It's a 20% discount. The regular rate is $500. It will be $400. It is intense work in between 3 and 5 hours. It can be scheduled in 2 sessions if you cannot work on one session. And my call to action for you is to give me a call, a free call on Zoom. This is the link. This is my invitation for you to benefit from this. Give me a call and book it. Find all the details. And if you're not ready to work intense energy work, give me a call anyway and let me know how are you, and I can tell you how I can help you, because that's not all I can do for you. So I want you to be able to find your uniqueness and to live your uniqueness and your purpose. This was really rushed. I know. Please connect with me by email. All the links, I think Cindy has the links and she will put them there. Thank you so much for being here. And if we have time for Q&A, that's fine. If not, please bear with me until I'm going to read your questions and answer to them in writing.
We actually are right at the top of the hour, so thank you so much, Beatrice.
You're welcome.
And you'll find the link to connect with for the 15-minute is in the chat, and Beatrice will be looking at the comments under the Facebook group, responding to the Facebook page and responding to those. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to everyone here, and please get in touch with me. I'm here to really fulfill my mission. That's my mission, to really help you to, it's in relation with what's going to happen in the future, because whom I'm helping today will be able to raise their children in a totally different world, and to raise them in to be creative and abundant, like a normal, like a standard, that creative and abundant. It's not an exception. That's the way we are meant to live, and that's the way our children should be raised. So when they become adults, their lives will be about everything else but trying to heal or decondition or realign. So just to live their lives in abundance and love as a powerful creators and valued for their uniqueness. And I love you all. Have a wonderful evening. An amazing weekend. Thank you.